before pharmacies, before laboratories, before anyone understood what a molecule was. Ancient civilizations had already mapped the human mind, using nothing but plants, roots, and fungi pulled straight from the earth. Not casually, not by accident, with a precision that took thousands of years to develop, and a secrecy so absolute that some of these formulas went to the grave and never came back. These are 5 of the most powerful psychoactive substances in human history, what they did to the people who used them, and why, in almost every case, the knowledge of how to use them properly has been lost forever. Number 5. Henbane, the plant that taught witches to fly. 4,000 years ago, in Bronze Age Scotland, someone was buried with a handful of charred seeds pressed against their body. The seeds belonged to a plant called henbane, and whoever placed them in that grave understood something about it that most people alive today never will. Henbane looks like a warning. Pale yellow flowers veined with deep purple. And yet, for 4,000 years across 4 continents, humans consumed it anyway. The reason is in its chemistry. Henbane contains 2 of the most powerful compounds in the botanical world, scopolamine and hyoscyamine. The medical world classifies them as deliriants, and the distinction matters more than you think. A psychedelic distorts reality. A delirant replaces it entirely. At the right dose, henbane does not make the world look different. It builds a completely separate world. People who are not there. Conversations that never happened. Rooms that do not exist. And you cannot tell the difference from waking life. Memory afterward is fragmented or just gone. The dose that produces this effect sits dangerously close to the dose that stops the heart. Viking warriors carried henbane seeds in burial pouches recovered from graves across Scandinavia. Some researchers have connected the plant to the berserker tradition. Fighters who entered battle in states of dissociated fury, impervious to pain, unable to tell ally from enemy. The pharmacology checks out. Scopolamine at certain concentrations produces aggression, hallucination, and complete amnesia of whatever violence was committed. But the most disturbing chapter of henbane's history comes from medieval Europe. Trial records from the 15th and 16th centuries describe women who confessed to applying a salve, henbane mixed with mandrake, belladonna, and animal fat, to their skin before sleep. Every one of them reported the same experience, with a consistency that the inquisitors interpreted as proof of demonic conspiracy. They said they had flown, risen from their bodies, passed through walls, traveled through darkness over forests and mountains, arrived at gatherings, and returned before dawn. Modern pharmacology hears something completely different. Scopolamine absorbed through the skin produces vivid sensations of bodily flight. The women were not lying. Within the chemistry of what they had applied, they had genuinely flown. The broomstick in the most unsettling reading of the evidence was not symbolic. It was an applicator, a method of delivering the compound to the areas of the body where absorption into the bloodstream was fastest. The entire iconography of European witchcraft, the flight, the gathering, the return before dawn, may be the pharmacological signature of a single plant, misread by a culture that had no framework to understand what it was looking at. Number 4. Amanita muscaria, the mushroom that built Christmas. Every child raised in the Western world recognizes it immediately. Brilliant red cap, white spots, the exact mushroom drawn in fairy tales, printed on greeting cards, and tucked into every illustrated storybook forest since the 19th century. For at least 4,000 years, it was sacred. Indigenous peoples across the Arctic Circle consumed Amanita muscaria in winter ceremonies whose origins predate any written record. But the chemistry of this mushroom is unlike anything else in the history of psychoactive plants. Objects swell and shrink. The body feels weightless. Waking and dreaming collapse into each other. It does not show you another world. It dismantles the one you are standing in. The problem is that ibotenic acid is toxic. Consumed directly, the mushroom causes convulsions and, in high doses, death. The Siberian shamans solved this through an observation so precise it took modern pharmacology centuries to formally verify. The human body metabolizes ibotenic acid into muscimol, the compound they actually wanted, and excretes it intact in urine. The toxicity filters out. And the vehicle for that filtration was the reindeer. Reindeer actively seek Amanita muscaria in the wild. They dig through snow to find it, eat it eagerly, then stagger through drifts in what ethnographers have described as apparent intoxication. The shamans watched this happen. They collected the reindeer's urine and used it as a cleaner, safer preparation. Now picture the scene. Midwinter, northern Siberia. A shaman in reindeer hide approaches a dwelling buried to its eaves in snow. The door is blocked by drifts, so he enters through the smoke hole in the roof. Inside, dried red and white mushrooms hang near the fire. He speaks of journeys through the sky, of crossing into the spirit world and returning with knowledge. Several researchers beginning in the 1960s propose that this scene is the direct ancestor of Christmas iconography. The red and white color scheme, the figure in fur entering through the chimney because the door is buried, flying reindeer, mushrooms hanging to dry near the tree, gifts brought from a supernatural journey. The ritual became unrecognizable. The costumes survived perfectly. Billions of people celebrate a midwinter tradition whose imagery may be a sanitized memory of a Siberian shaman filtering neurotoxins through reindeer kidneys in the dark. Number 3. The Blue Lotus, the flower that drugged the pharaohs. When Howard Carter opened Tutankhamun's tomb in 1922, among the gold and carved alabaster and carefully arranged grave goods, something quieter caught the attention of the botanists called in afterward. Petals, scattered deliberately across the young pharaoh's body. Pale blue, narrow, pointed. The unmistakable flower of the Egyptian blue lotus. The same flower had appeared in Egyptian tomb paintings for 1,000 years before Tutankhamun's death. Banquet scenes showing guests pressing the bloom to their faces. The image repeated for generations, so consistently that early Egyptologists dismissed it as decoration. The chemistry says otherwise. The blue lotus contains 2 psychoactive compounds, apomorphine, a dopamine agonist that modern medicine uses to treat Parkinson's disease, and nuciferine, a mild sedative that produces euphoria and softens the boundary between waking and sleep. The Egyptians did not eat the flower. They steeped it in wine for hours, letting the alcohol-soluble compounds leach into the liquid. What they produced was a fortified ceremonial drink consumed by pharaohs, priests, and the upper tier of Egyptian religious life. The lotus opens at sunrise, floats fully open through the day, then closes and sinks beneath the water at dusk. Every evening it vanishes. Every morning it returns. To a civilization whose entire theology was built around solar death and resurrection, this was not metaphor. It was the mechanism made visible. Tutankhamun died at 19. Whoever scattered those petals across his body believed the blue lotus would carry him somewhere. The recipe for their sacred vintage was never written down, but the next substance makes the blue lotus look simple by comparison. Number 2. Ayahuasca, the brew that should not exist. The Amazon basin contains roughly 80,000 plant species. 2 of them, prepared together in precise proportions and boiled for hours, produce one of the most powerful psychoactive experiences known to human neuroscience. The brew needs 2 things: a thick woody vine, Banisteriopsis caapi, and a leaf, usually Psychotria viridis, which contains DMT. The problem is that DMT is completely inert when swallowed. Your stomach produces an enzyme that destroys it on contact before it ever reaches the bloodstream. The vine solves this. It contains compounds called beta-carbolines that suppress the exact enzyme that would otherwise neutralize the DMT in the leaves. Combine the 2. Boil them together. The vine opens the door, the leaf walks through. When ethnobotanists have asked contemporary Amazonian shamans how their ancestors discovered the combination, the answers never satisfy Western expectations. The plants told us. The vine showed us how to prepare it. We learned in dreams. In 2010, archaeologists opened a leather pouch sealed for 1,000 years in a Bolivian rock shelter. Chemical analysis identified harmine, DMT, and cocaine, the molecular fingerprints of ayahuasca's active ingredients. The brew had been in use for at least 10 centuries before the modern world knew it existed, almost certainly far longer. The chemistry is real, fully documented. The brew works exactly as the shamans describe. How they knew which 2 plants to combine remains genuinely unexplained. And then there is the one substance that makes even ayahuasca feel like a solved puzzle. Number 1. Soma, the drink of the gods that disappeared. In 1500 BCE, on the plains of what would become northern India, priests of the Vedic tradition pressed a plant between stones and collected what ran from it. They called it soma. They wrote about it more than 100 times in the Rig Veda, the oldest sacred text in the Indo-European world. Older than the Iliad, older than the Hebrew scriptures. They built entire ceremonies around its preparation. They deified it. Soma was not consumed by the gods. Soma was a god. The descriptions are precise where they describe the ritual. The stalks were crushed. The juice ran golden. It was strained through wool, mixed with milk, offered to fire. Those who drank it described a euphoria they could only compare to immortality. The hymns say the drinker became luminous, became deathless, became one with the order of existence itself. Then the formula vanished, not obscured, not encoded, gone, completely and apparently permanently, sometime between the composition of the Rig Veda and the consolidation of later Hindu tradition. The priests who knew which plant to press died without passing the knowledge on. Later rituals substituted other plants. By the time scholars started seriously asking which plant soma had been, the answer had been missing for over 2,000 years. The candidates proposed across more than a century of scholarship cover every category of psychoactive plant known to grow in Central Asia. Ephedra fits the geography but not the visions. Amanita muscaria fits the euphoria but not the pressed juice preparation. Syrian rue fits the chemistry but not the ritual color. Every reconstruction fails on at least one point. What makes soma the most haunting entry on this list is not its potency. It is the completeness of its disappearance. And then the formula simply walked out of human memory. The hymns remain. The god remains. The drink is gone. What remains are the plants themselves, still growing in the same soils where ancient hands first harvested them, and the question that may never be fully answered: how much did they know that we have forgotten?